Welcome to a special edition of Flyera Gonna Flyer. We were going to be waiting a couple days with the draft coming up and the whole 9 yards, but ladies and gentlemen, we got some breaking news. Something big just happened in Flyerland today. The Philadelphia Flyers have acquired center/winger, probably more center, I'll stay for now, Trevor Zegras from the Anaheim Ducks in exchange for center/winger Ryan Poehling, a 2025 second-round pick that was originally Columbus's, stated at pick 45 in a 2026 fourth-round pick. And all I've got to say is, Danny Briere, bravo. That was pretty, to put it lightly. There we go. Got the picture fix there. But that was pretty. I'm at lunch. I'm on my phone. I'm not even on Twitter. I was just watching some videos on YouTube. And then I see a little pop-up on the top from Emily Kaplan, and I'm like, wait, hold on, what? Closed out of every app I could. Started scrolling through where the fuck is this? This got to be true. This got to be true. There it was. Elliot Friedman and Pierre LeBrun and Chris Johnston all dropping the bombs. Trevor Zegras is in the orange and black. I kind of ran it a little bit. Eric, give me your take on this big trade that happened today.
I'll be honest, Alex, man, I was a bit shocked. I was a bit caught by surprise. Like yourself, look, I was working today too, and I'd seen a tweet like earlier in the day saying basically that like, oh, like Zegras talk is intensifying, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, honestly, he's somebody I would have liked the Flyers to target, but I don't know, for whatever reason, I just kind of thought that, nah, you know what, it's just not gonna happen. And then at one point, my phone in my pocket, and it's just buzzing and buzzing and buzzing. I'm like, okay, I gotta check what's going on, right? I take it out, and I just see Zegras Flyers and like the little notification. I'm like, holy shit! You go on the phone. I'm like, oh man, I was honestly caught really by surprise. I love this trade. I'll tell you right now, I love it. I really like Zegras as a player, and yeah, no, but for the return that we actually paid, I was like, okay, I'll do that trade 7 days a week and like twice on Sunday, whatever the expression is. I don't care, man. That's great. And I want to say, look, Ryan Poehling, great guy for us. He
for sure.
Like he did a lot for us, and he was a great player here. And so, but like, yeah, and the second, like, who cares? Whatever. At the end of the day, like, we have to give up a little bit of value. Yeah, and it's like, and it's our third best one. It's not even the 36. It's not even the 40. It's the 45. So I was like, yes. Oh, fuck.
You know what really caught me by surprise with this move is just how quickly it manifested. Like, there wasn't any sniff. There wasn't. I mean, there was like background noise talking about how Zegras might be on the way out after the Chris Kreider acquisition by Anaheim. Like, where would he be? He wouldn't want to play on the third line, which made sense. Came off a rough year last year. I think he only had, 32 points. He had 12 goals, 20 assists. But he did miss a little bit of time, too, due to injury. But, we talked about some possibilities here in Philly and what players they could acquire. We brought it up on our mock draft episode. Some guys that could be a possibility. You even had a trade with Anaheim, funny enough, for pick 10. Not exactly the trade we had in mind, but I think it's more the fact that it just manifested out of nowhere, and it just didn't cost much at all. I get Zegras' value was low, like especially after last year. Him and Cronin never really meshed, it felt like, and they kept trying to make him a player that he truly wasn't. They've tried to make him a defensive asset, which isn't Zegras' game. He's a dangler who can rip the puck. He is a great puck handler. That's his game. His dangling abilities are ridiculous. I've watched the highlight film that the NHL posts on their Twitter today. I'm just watching some of these moves. He's pulled off the Michigan a handful of times. The pass over the net against Buffalo was gross. His puck control is is just absolutely disgusting. And this is something this team has needed, was flat out skill. And the fact that you only had to move Montvain,
Whoa.
What? What?
my bad.
What?
I got so much Mitchkov on my mind.
Freudian
Hold on.
slip. Freudian slip.
Rick, edit that out, please. Edit that out. The fact that you had to only trade Ryan Poehling, a second and a fourth, you still have so much room to make moves. This team is still over 15 million cap. The only actual big time player they have to extend still for RFAs is Cam York. Mind you, that I would not be surprised if he was a big reason why he came here. Him and Jamey Drysdale. Because back in Anaheim, that was Jamey Drysdale's boy. They were like this together. Like him and Jamey were best of friends. I was reading something when the Cutter Gauthier trade happened back last year that I think they were playing pool together when the trade manifested. And it was like, it just caught both of them by surprise. They're like, it's a three-headed best friends type of thing there. So it's really cool to see that. It's going to be a very healthy locker room, I think, for that alone, because those three get along really well. And the locker room was healthy in general before that. So but you now have some possibilities down the middle at center. And even if he doesn't work out at center, you could still provide him over to the left wing, which is something this team has had holes at for quite some time. I am very curious to see what they do with him on opening night. I put out some line combinations before this happened, and I think they're going to probably, just to start the year, stick with Mitchkov, Couturier, Konechny on that top line, at least to start. Not saying that's going to be the thing that will stick all year. This is plenty of room for movement. I think I could see Zegras on the second line at the center position. And I think a cool line combination would be Forster, Zegras, Tippett. You get another shooter with Forster who has some size, as does Tippett, and it gives Zegras the ability to facilitate the puck to some larger bodies who can also shoot the puck. I think at some point too, if there's a point where things aren't going well, you could see Zegras and Mitchkov on a line together too. So there's a lot of possibilities here of what this team could do. Zegras will be sticking in this team's top six. I say that without a doubt in my mind. I see Brink and Kate sticking on that third line, and maybe this opens up an opportunity for a guy like Alex Bump too. So there's a lot of possibilities. Eric, what do you think? What's their lines possibly looking like in your opinion?
Well, honestly, like I don't know, like it's still I find a little early to tell, but like I wouldn't mind seeing Mishkov and Zegras on the same line together. Like just go like pure skill and maybe have like, even if that is kind of like, let's say your second line, let's say, you just put Mishkov on the second line with like a Zegras and like, let's say a Forrester. So that Forrester could add a little bit more defense to that line. And then you go with a top line of, let's say, Coots and TK and Tippett, or like whoever you put on that left side, whatever, for, so that maybe you go like, and then you, like we said, we'll have Cates on a third line if like Luchenko doesn't make it or they don't bring in another center. So you have like two defensive lines and you have like one pure attack line, with like Zegras and Mishkov. So who knows? But basically, I just want to talk about quick about Danny Briere and just like the masterclass I find he's been putting out lately. And it's like, you basically got Poehling for nothing. He's if I'm not mistaken, right? He was one of the first UFA signings that he ever made. Yes. I think it was his first offseason. And like Pittsburgh, I don't understand why Pittsburgh didn't even qualify him, because that was a stupid. I remember even before the Flyers signing him, and I'm like Pittsburgh, like you have no young players, and you got this guy. Like, okay, maybe he's not a top 6 player, but like at that point, I think he was like 23 years old, and he played well. It's not like he was playing bad. He was playing decent in Pittsburgh. Like, you don't even qualify him. Like, stupid move by Pittsburgh. Then Danny signs him, and he was such a great fourth liner for us. Even like when he had to come up and play third line, I think last year, like he really showed something. Even as a third line center, like he played well in spot duty, and you know what? That's it. And he turned that UFA signing, that like, that random UFA signing, plus one of your extra four thirds and you turned it into Trevor Zegras. Like, it's just beautiful. And you know what? This is his first how can I say, non-rebuild move, like his first trade that's going into like the next step, and home run, man. Like, he just hit this one out of the park. At the end of the day, look, if Zegras ends up just being like a 50-point player, let's say, and like, it's like, okay, maybe he doesn't hit that like 70, 80-point potential, you still won this trade. Like, you still won this trade. Even if he ends up being a 50-point like left winger for you in the future, like, okay, like so it's like your floor already, you win the trade just with your floor, but the ceiling could be like, who knows, that you could like, this could be like a 4-run homer, like, I don't know, like, insane. I just really love the work that Briere has been doing so far, and like, patience, because you know what, Anaheim, I think they waited way too long to trade this guy.
For sure.
They
should have maximized it last offseason. It's funny you mentioned that. And his value just started sinking and sinking and sinking. I didn't think it'd get this low, but wow.
Oh, and look, at the end of the day, like I said, Ryan Poehling, very good player, and I think he's gonna fit in very well in Anaheim, like especially behind all those centers that they have there with like Carlson and McTavish and Ryan Stroman. He fits in just beautifully on that fourth line. And like we said, in case of injury, he's able to move up a spot and play on a third line role. So yeah, but that's it. I think the Anaheim waited way too long. Like, they could have traded him like I at the very least a year ago to even 2 years ago, when like it started to see there was a bit of an unrest between Zegras and Anaheim. But instead they waited and they waited and they waited, and the value just dropped and dropped and dropped. Like, and like you said, like last year, like he did battle injuries last year, and he had 32 points in 57 games, which is still not bad. Like, it's more than half a point a game.
Almost a 50-point pace.
Yeah. So and that's it. So we'll see. Look, he has 2 60-point seasons under his belt. So, you know what? Like I said, this can only be a positive. The only way this doesn't work out is if, like, for some whatever reason, which I don't see happening, for whatever reason, this guy really doesn't pan out and just loses his game completely. But again, I don't see that happening. No. I see at the very least a 50-point player there. At the very least.
It's a healthier environment for him too, and that can't be stressed enough. Him and Cronin did not see eye to eye, as I said earlier. This is a guy who they tried making into a defensive style player. That's not his game. It's just not. He is a guy who can handle the puck with absolute grace. And now he's going to be getting some legit scorers on his wing, and Forster, Konechny, and obviously Matvei Michkov. This team took a great step forward, and this is a good chance to take. You're not giving up all that much. As you mentioned, they didn't even get their own second-round pick back for him, which was better than the Columbus pick that they did get. Now, mind you, it's not a massive difference. It's pick 40 to 45, but still, that needs to be stressed how well Danny valued this trade. And you nailed it on hammer on the nail. Like, Danny waited. He waited until the right trade came up, and he nailed it. And he'll be in the top 6 all year. There will be a point he will be playing with Matvei Michkov. I can personally guarantee that. One line I would love to see is a Forster, Zegras, Michkov line. You got the size and sniping ability of Forster, who can play a good two-way game. You have the puck handling and dangling, who can now facilitate more in Trevor Zegras, and you got a monster in Matvei Michkov on the wing. If Travis Konechny ends up being your second-line right winger, that's not an issue. That's a good thing. You now have a second line possibly of maybe you go Tippett, Couturier, Konechny, possibly even. There's a lot of options there. And you know what another thing is? It's funny you mentioned this guy earlier. This means you don't have to rush Chet Luchenko up here now, too. You can let him manifest a little more in Gulev. I know people will argue because the talent he's playing with isn't exactly great in Gulev, and I can agree. I understand that point, but it's only one more year, and I don't think it's going to really hurt his development that much. He has the opportunity to dominate there again and continue to grow his game. Then you have an opportunity for him to be in the AHL full time, maybe play a year there, and by his age 21 season, or maybe even some point his age 20 season, you call him up and he sticks here. You give him another year in a manifest. You don't have to rush him. You're probably now have the chance to draft another center who's going to probably be your true 1C of the future, whoever that's going to be, whether that be Denoyer or Higgins or whatever, or Frondell. There's options there. Or maybe even they pivot to Porter Martone. Who knows? Or Jake O'Brien. Point is, I don't want to go too deep into this. You have more options and flexibility now in this draft too, with Trevor Zegras already now on the team. So the ripple effect of this is huge because it opens up a roster spot for some of the rookies not named Luchenko to play for on the wing. And I don't think Danny's done because you already made the move to show that you're trying to get better for next year. People forget this team still has 6 picks out of the first 48 now. You still have all 3 firsts. You still have 2 out of your top 3 out of your 4 seconds, including your first 2. You still have 5 out of the first 40 picks. So there is room to make some moves here still. This team could trade up. This team could maybe trade to make a move for a player. There is a lot of room for flexibility here. I want to say this. I think Trevor Zegras sniffs 60 points next year. I'm not going to go excessive, but I'm going to put him as my early prediction next year. 25 goals, 34 assists, 59 points. I think Zegras finds his game and gets back close to the form that he was. I'm going to say he has a healthier year. And you know what's good too? He's got a team that's going to defend him in case some shit does happen. Hathaway, Sealer, Delorier, all those guys know how to drop the gloves. Hell, Coots and TK have even done it from time to time. These guys will drop the gloves and defend this kid if he ends up gets put into a position. And he's in a comfortable position now where he's with 2 teammates that already know him extremely well, that love this dude, especially Jamey Drysdale. He's got a brand new coach that seems like he wants to grow with him. I think Rick Tocchet is going to be very interesting to see what he says. But Tocchet has said all the right things since he's come here. And I don't think he's going to be the type of guy. He already said it with Matvei Michkov, that he wants Michkov to be a guy that can dominate the puck. And guys like Michkov are people who need to dominate the puck. I'm sure Tocchet's going to recognize that with Zegras, that he's a guy that is going to need to control the puck and facilitate the puck up the ice and be able to control and dangle with his strengths. And then you look at the situation where Danny looks at this and says, I need to keep this a healthy locker room. And bringing a guy like this is going to make guys like York and Drysdale extremely happy too. So I love this move. All accounts, I give Danny an A+ for this. And even as you mentioned, if it does not work out for some reason, if his game falls off, he gets another big injury, and it becomes more of a risk, it's not the end of the world because you didn't give up major assets for him. The biggest asset you gave is probably a high-end 4th liner, maybe a low-end 3rd on a bad team. But, listen, before I pass it back to you, take this moment to thank Ryan Poehling, dude. This dude was awesome here. Great person. Good teammate. Solid bottom 6 guy. He was a good PK guy. Solid in the dot. Really good defensive game. Respectable all the way around. I wish nothing but the best for Ryan Poehling. Awesome dude. He was, and he even played good, especially in that final month of the year last year.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder if teams maybe looked at it and said, there's a little more in this guy than we think. He could be more of a 3rd line guy potentially as a 4th. The last month of the year, he got like 5 or 6 goals or something like that. He pushed. He broke out late to push to 12 goals. So I'm happy for Poehling. I hope he does well in Anaheim. We just got to end. The only thing I don't like about the Zegras trade, I don't know how I feel about number 46. I was hoping he'd go with like 13 or something like that. I get he wore that in Anaheim, and it was the number he played the best in. I think 13 would have really looked good on him.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But hey, you know what? We'll see. You can always change it back later. He's like, I don't like this. Let's go back. Let's change it now. Let's go to 13.
Oh, for sure.
Man. No, but like,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, but like you were saying with Poehling, same thing, man. Like, same here. I want to give like my thanks to like everything he did for the team and everything, and like he was part of some really good lines here, like even with when it was like him, Cates, and Hathaway, like I think it was 2 seasons ago, like at the end of not last season before, where it's like that was like an incredible fourth line, and like they were putting up points, and you're like, oh man, like maybe like you said, maybe there's something there. And then last year, I found he really started building chemistry with Peltier, and so I was kind of excited to see. I'm like, oh okay, like maybe we'll have like a really fun fourth line. And well, I mean, now he's gone, and look, we have these guys in abundance, so like I'm sure like you could pluck either somebody from Lehigh Valley and place them there for if that's the
They
case.
just signed Abels too, so I think they want to keep him up probably in that fourth line possibly. So
yeah, possibly because he played pretty decent. He's a little slow. He was a little on the slower side. I wouldn't be shocked because honestly, before this, I thought like I really didn't think that the Flyers would do anything in free agency because to be totally honest with you, the only person I know we'll probably talk about this on a future show, but like the only person that I think kind of makes sense in free agency if they want to look in the defense is actually Gavrikov from LA. Because I could see like if you like a big like defensive defenseman, you put him, let's say, with a Drysdale, and maybe that could be like a future first pair, So I go maybe he's the only guy. But now I wouldn't be shocked if they look for like a veteran for like that could play 4C for them, like for signing to a 1 or 2 year deal. But I have to see who's available. Honestly, I haven't really looked in a while. I can't remember who's available.
I wonder if they can always just bring back Peltier too, and you can run a line of something. I mean, of something like Peltier, Abels, Hathaway, and Delorier could be a 13 forward, or if rumors with Shabanov are true, maybe he ends up joining the fray and joins in a bottom 6 role too. But that's something we'll probably talk more about on our next actual full episode of Flyera. But do you have any other thoughts on Trevor Zegras just in general? Maybe a point prediction.
The first year points, I wouldn't be shocked. I'm gonna say like 65.
Ooh,
60 to 65 range. Yeah, I think 65 is if he could help our power, if he stays healthy, he plays a full 82. Yeah. If our power play actually does something or anything, and like he's gonna help it, I'm sure. Like just the added skill with him and Mishkov, and whether you have Tippett or Forster as your shooter, I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, however they decide to design it. I think he can easily get 60 to 65 points for sure, playing on like a second line. Because also, like you said, right, in Anaheim with Cronin and everything, and plus with the injuries and trying to change his game, and he was up and down the lineup, so it's like that inconsistency. It starts playing on you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
If he could play like a full season in the top 6 on PP1, like I think it's realistic to expect 60 to 65 points. Like. He's like I said, he's done it twice before, and it's no coincidence that the last 2 years with Cronin are like his 2 worst years, and also with the injuries. So I could definitely see it. Honestly, where I'm curious about this, what this trade will affect is the 6th pick. I'm just not sure now if like let's say Higgins is there, right? Let's say Higgins does fall to 6. Okay, do you still draft Higgins? Do you maybe like? I feel like if Higgins is there, I'm sure Martone would have been gone by then.
Yeah.
Unless Utah pulled something crazy and they went Brady Martin and somehow like Higgins and Martone. I think if that's the case, then I think the Flyers actually draft Martone. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I would still lean Higgins. But now it's like you have 2 kind of undersized centers. Even if you move one to the wing, you're still a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
What I'm curious about is, I don't know if the Flyers would do it. If Higgins is there at 6, do you call the Islanders and be like, listen, 6 for Dobson? Straight up, 1 for 1, 6 for Dobson. Like, would the Islanders do it? 1, and 2, would the Flyers do it? I don't know. Like, if it's just a 1 for 1 trade, 6 for Dobson.
I still would rather, me personally, I'd rather use the pick. Because I want to make sure you get that size down the middle. If it's not, I guess I have a feeling Higgins, personally, I think he's going to be gone. I think Nashville ends up getting him. We'll see. If he is available, I'm throwing that size comment out the window and grabbing him. My pick, I'm still thinking they're going to end up with Dinoye.
Dinoye?
I keep botching his name. I say it right for a while and then I botch it. But Dinoye, I still think they'll end up with him. But they need to address. I wouldn't be upset if they went Martone, but I still think they need to address their center position, and that's why I wonder what they're going to do. If it's Dinoye or Higgins or O'Brien, some reason Frendell dropped. I don't think that'll happen. I think it's pretty likely he goes to Chicago.
No.
But it is going to be interesting to see how this pivots. We got an interesting 4 days still leading up. The draft is, as we were recording this, 97 and a half hours away. So we shall see. Will this be the final, teardrop to be made? Will maybe Danny make another trade in the next 96 hours? Well, will he make one on draft night? Will they just stand pat and make all their picks? It's going to be interesting. Eric, do you have any extra thoughts on Trevor Zegras before we wrap this up?
No, I'm just excited. That's it. I'm just really excited about this acquisition, and I think it's just the first of many. I honestly, I think this is gonna be a busy season for Danny, a busy offseason for Danny, and we'll see what he has left up his sleeve.
I do think Danny's got one more bigger acquisition still coming. And I have a feeling they're going to be calling a certain team, I'd say maybe about 600 miles northwest of them, give or take, just next to the border, not quite on the border, but pretty close to the border. I have a feeling we'll be seeing something manifest with that team relatively soon. We'll see. Maybe Bo and Byron. That's my guess.
Yeah, but I want Gigi Peterka.
I'll be happy with Peterka too. I think there's going to be some fireworks to be soon. But ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, that'll do it for episode, we'll call this 44 and a half of Flyera gonna Flyera.
Emergency pod.
Yeah. Special edition episode.
Yeah. FGF emergency pod.
Emergency pod for sure. Tune in. We'll be having another actual full episode of Flyera gonna Flyera this upcoming weekend. We'll talk about the draft, all the moves that may or may not have been made. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about the Zegras trade potentially. We'll talk about the first round pick and maybe the rest of the draft. We're still TBD which day this weekend we'll be filming, but we will be filming this weekend. And, maybe some extra early thoughts on free agency as well. But with that being said, that's going to wrap this up, the special edition of Flyera gonna Flyera. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next weekend. Take care, everyone. And as always, let's go Flyers.